Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time. Welcome to a late night edition of Ignition Time, probably one of the most important episodes of Ignition Time I've ever done. I have breaking news for all my viewers, for all my subscribers. I have details of the $1.62 trillion proposal made by US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. This is what was proposed today to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and this proposal is making the Democrats think, and I have a good feeling about this. I'm going to give you the details about this entire proposal. I'll also provide you with a link to more details in the description section below, and let's just jump right in. A $1.62 trillion proposal was made by US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi today. And the details of the proposal are $250 billion from the Republicans offered to the Democrats. Remember, the Democrats initially wanted $900 billion in the original HEROES Act. They came down to $436 billion in the updated version of the HEROES Act. And the Republicans were at right around $150 billion. They have gone up to $250 billion based on instructions given to the US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin by the president, who said go for higher numbers and get the deal done. $400 a week in federal unemployment benefits. So that is up from $300 a week, which the Republicans were originally offering, and lower than the $600 a week that the Democrats wanted. The main sticking points which Treasury Secretary Mnuchin has tried to address include $150 billion for education was offered, $75 billion was offered for testing and tracing. This actually meets the needs of the Democrats. $60 billion in assistance for rent and mortgages, and $15 billion in food assistance. This is actually quite significant. And again, it was a $1.62 trillion package that was offered. And it seems like in the next 24 hours, we will have some response, a kind of a response from the Democrats about this. And I'll dig deeper into this and I'll give you some more information. But before I continue, please consider subscribing. Please enable notifications. Please share this video with friends and family because it helps us spread the word about our channel. My team and I work very hard. It is your vote of confidence in me and my team if you consider subscribing, if you consider enabling notifications, and if you also like. That would mean a lot. That would mean a lot to me personally. It helps out the YouTube algorithm as well, and I would personally appreciate that. We put out multiple updates. And as a citizen journalist, I depend on you subscribing, enabling notifications, and clicking like. So let's just jump right into it. Now, this plan offers more state and local assistance than the GOP negotiators have offered to date. This is a sign of potential progress towards a deal. There is no doubt about that. Now, should we be celebrating? Not yet. Should we be encouraged? Should we be more than encouraged and optimistic? The answer to that question is yes. When it's time to celebrate, I'll tell you. If it's time to celebrate, I'll tell you. On this channel, you'll get actual news. You won't get any false hope. You're not going to get any hype. And you're going to get the truth, because I think we deserve the truth. I think you can handle the truth. And it is my responsibility to bring you the actual news as opposed to hyping things up. And that's why I'm asking you to subscribe and enable notifications and share. That is your vote of confidence in us. So Secretary Mnuchin's plan includes $250 billion for state and local governments, which still is $186 billion less than what the Democrats wanted. They wanted $436 billion in the updated version of the HEROES Act. But it is $100 billion more than what the White House had offered initially in talks that did indeed break down over the summer. Now, on unemployment benefits extension, Secretary Mnuchin offered a $400 a week booster on top of state unemployment extensions. And that $400 a week would be retroactive to September 12th, which is very interesting. In case you're wondering why it's not retroactive to August 1st, that's because the Lost Wages Assistance Program, which was set up by the President's executive order, lasted right around 5 to 6 weeks. So they presumably want to avoid any overlap with that. So that would go from August 1st to, let's say, the second week of September. And so September 12th through January 1st, 2021 as per Secretary Mnuchin's proposal. That would include the $400 a week booster, according to the information that we have. Again, that's less than $600 per week, which is what the Democrats want, but that is $100 a week more than what the Senate Republicans have proposed in the past. Now, again, this proposal was presented by Secretary Mnuchin to House Speaker Pelosi in a 90-minute discussion that took place today, and that discussion did break up without a deal, but both have agreed to continue negotiations into tomorrow. So if something gets passed, and I personally have a good feeling about this, but if something does get passed, it's going to be right in this range. And just as you know, and I already reported this, a few hours after Treasury Secretary Mnuchin met with House Speaker Pelosi, Mnuchin did indeed meet with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and the Democrats did announce that they would delay voting on their symbolic $2.2 trillion bill a few hours ago. So it was going to be symbolic. It was the updated version of the HEROES Act, and it wasn't really going to go anywhere other than provide a political talking point. And I have covered that in other videos on my channel earlier today, as you know. Now, these are important words. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer said the Speaker thinks there's a possibility of getting a deal. Now, if there is a deal, I'm going to celebrate with you. We all should celebrate, because this will release a lot of pressure, a lot of tension. I do know that the scars are going to remain for a long time. I get that. My goal is to help you on our channel and take you to the next level. I want you to remember that you heard this news first on Ignition Time, before any other conservative news outlet, any other liberal news outlet, any other YouTube channel. I want you to remember that you heard it first here, and I want you to please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications, and please share this video with friends and family. So these are the words of Steny Hoyer. He continued, if we have a deal, yes, we may well do that. But if we don't have a deal, then we are going to move the bill. And again, this bill is going to be a symbolic bill that is probably going to be passed in the House. Let's just hope it doesn't come to that, because we know it's going to be dead on arrival in the Senate because of what Steve Scalise and what the House Minority Whip, and because of what Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have indeed said. So let's just hope that they don't proceed with that symbolic gesture, just as the Republicans had done the skinny bill as a symbolic gesture. So so let's just wait and see what happens. Because we do need a bipartisan agreement to come through. And Mnuchin did indeed, like I said, speak with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell after meeting with House Speaker Pelosi today. And according to a source, this is very, very, very important, guys, and this is why I'm optimistic. Are you ready? The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told Secretary Mnuchin that he would begrudgingly get enough votes to pass the bill that Mnuchin had laid out to the Democrats if the Democrats sign off on it. This is game-changing. This is breaking. This is important, because think about this. If the US Treasury Secretary offers something to House Speaker Pelosi and House Speaker Pelosi accepts it, I want you to listen to what I'm about to say very, very carefully, because this is going to get lost in translation. Because if and when the stimulus bill happens, the internet's going to explode, and a lot of channels are going to, use the hype. But if this happens, House Speaker Pelosi will say, and can rightly say, that her negotiating position led to a higher offer. This is fact. I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're red or blue, and it doesn't matter to me. If you want to get into a discussion in the comment section, be my guest. It doesn't really affect me. But if the stimulus bill does happen, House Speaker Pelosi's original negotiating position, which has been heavily criticized, will indeed have paid off. And that would be an accurate statement, because that essentially pulled the Republicans closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to the $2+ trillion that the Democrats have wanted since day one. So that's just an important point to take into consideration, because the Republicans originally did not want to go over $1 trillion at all. But if they do end up settling at $1.62 trillion, which ironically is sort of like a midpoint between $1 trillion, which is where they were, and $2.2 trillion, which is where House Speaker Pelosi did come down to with the updated version of the HEROES Act. That right there is a midpoint. The midpoint between 1 and 2.2 is 1.6. If we end up at 1.62, which is the midpoint, that is something that the House Speaker can say, hey, I got them to come towards me because I remain firm with my position. So please remember that. And also, if and when this deal goes through, I want to give a lot of credit to US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin because I believe that he is a calm influence and he tried to do what was best. And I'm not going to criticize the Republicans or the Democrats. You're not going to get that bashing on my channel from me ever. In the end, we all want what's best for the country. We need to be calm and rational, and we need to be American first before being a Democrat or before being a Republican. We need to be Americans first. We need to be Americans first. We need to be Americans first. Okay? So it's unclear if Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell could sell anything higher than what US Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has offered, which is $1.62 trillion, because again, they weren't even ready to go beyond $1 trillion. But again, I want to be clear, the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin that he would begrudgingly get enough votes to pass the plan that US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin had laid out to the Democrats. So Mnuchin had said on Fox Business News a few hours ago, actually, that we're not going to do a $2.2 trillion bill. The president instructed us to come up significantly. So we have come up from the $1 trillion deal that we were working on earlier. And again, $1.62 trillion is a midpoint. It's interestingly and ironically very close to where the Problem Solvers Caucus bill was. I do also think that if and when this goes through, when the dust settles, I believe that the Problem Solvers Caucus, in addition to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and in addition to US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, a key White House lead negotiator, and to some extent the president wanting to push for higher numbers, but the Problem Solvers Caucus, the fact that they put together a plan that was initially rejected by the Democrats and that initially the Republicans warmed up to, did set the stage for what could be a second major stimulus bill. Remember, you heard it here first. You heard the breaking news about this proposal. You heard the breaking news about the inside story here first on this channel. So please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would really appreciate that. That is your vote of confidence in me, and I would really, really appreciate that. Okay. So if the parties can resolve the issue with the state and local aid, because again, the Democrats wanted $436 billion. The Republicans are now, offering less than that. They're offering $250 billion, which is still more than what they had offered earlier. If they can resolve the state and local aid and the unemployment benefit extensions, remember, the Democrats want $600 a week, the booster, and the Republicans are now offering $400 a week by way of a booster. And the gaps in all the other areas, if they can get past these two issues, will be much, much, much easier to bridge. For example, I just want to give you some examples. Mnuchin did increase the GOP offer, the Republican offer on education funding, $250 billion. Democrats wanted $225 billion. Both parties started at right around $100 billion for education early in the negotiations. But to be honest, and again, House Speaker Pelosi did have a point that because the pandemic lasted longer than expected, is lasting because this thing is still plaguing us. I have a 5-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter, so I know from personal experience that my children are wearing masks to school. But since the pandemic has lasted much longer than expected, since there's a lot of uncertainty about schools reopening, House Speaker Pelosi said that the demands were actually higher. So even though both sides started at $100 billion for schools, it's very interesting that the GOP has upped their offer to $150 billion. Needs have increased for schools across the country because different schools are at different phases of reopening. Some schools have opened in-person learning, some schools are entirely digital, and some schools are hybrid. So there is more of a need. There is no question about that. We need to understand that this is an evolving situation. I want my viewers and subscribers to understand one thing. Things are never black and white. The truth hides in the shadows. So it's easy to say, oh my God, this is Pelosi's fault. Or, oh my God, this is President Trump's fault. That is not the right way to look at it. The right way to look at it is needs change, needs evolve, the economic necessities change, because this is a K-shaped recovery. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. And this is something we've really realized in the past 6 weeks. Hindsight is 2020. The medical challenges are evolving. I personally fear that there could be a second wave based on the data that I'm seeing. I hope there isn't, but I'm seeing it. And political realities are changing. You see, there are economic realities, there are medical realities, and there are political realities and political necessities. And as one side gets more and more desperate, and I do believe one side will get more and more desperate, as one side gets more and more desperate, the actions taken by that side, whether it's medical breakthroughs like a vaccine, whether it's this political evolutions in the economic position, that is going to change. And in fact, you're seeing that change if you connect the dots. So Mnuchin's total offer on healthcare is $175 billion, which in addition to the testing money includes $50 billion for vaccine production and distribution and $50 billion for healthcare providers, including hospitals. So that's interesting. The Democrats' bill would provide the Department of Health and Human Services with a total of $249 billion. So the Republicans have gotten closer to the Democrats. Mnuchin also appears to match the Democrats' latest offer on food assistance with $15 billion for the SNAP program and nutrition aid for low-income women, infants, and children. Helping those who need it the most is something that I also believe in. The parties are also getting closer on direct aid for the U.S. Postal Service after a massive disagreement over the summer on the cause of all the delays associated with the United States Postal Service. Democrats did drop their $25 billion demand to $15 billion, and Secretary Mnuchin, again, full credit to him, is offering $10 billion. So that should be something that should be accepted, hopefully. As in earlier negotiations, both parties are still interested in sending more stimulus checks. So a $1,200 stimulus check is part of the proposal that the U.S. Treasury Secretary has offered to House Speaker Pelosi, with $500 for dependents. And they also both agree equally on expanding the employee retention tax credit, which was part of the original CARES Act. In other words, there's going to be an incentive to businesses for retaining employees, which is very, very, very important. Mnuchin also pitched in $160 billion in new funding to revive the Paycheck Protection Program for a second round of forgivable loans to the hardest hit businesses, as well as $10 billion in funds targeted for minority lending. Now, to be completely honest, it's a little bit too late for some businesses because some businesses have already shut down. I did do another video talking about this, and I actually talked about Jim Cramer having to permanently shut down his businesses. So for some businesses, specifically restaurants, because again, the industries that have been impacted are travel, hospitality, leisure, restaurants, hotels. For businesses that have been badly impacted, it is probably a little bit too late, but I suppose better late than never. Democrats have made it clear that any future small business relief would need to earmark funds for minority businesses that didn't receive enough money in the first round of the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, this is where things get even more interesting. The offer from U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin also included aid for businesses that were left out in the prior CARES Act package, including restaurants, lodging, and entertainment venues. Again, this has got to happen fast because some of them are running out of time. As I'm recording this, tens of thousands of jobs have already been lost in the airline industry. Layoffs have already been announced. So the urgency of this is pretty significant. And I've mentioned this before, DC is the kind of place where things happen slowly until they fall into place. A lot of these things happen at the last minute. I hope that it's not too late for a lot of businesses, and it's not too late for a lot of my viewers, for a lot of my subscribers. I know you need quick cash now. I feel your pain. I've been there, and I understand that you need money to keep the lights on, to put food on the table, to make rent, and we need quick cash now. And I understand, I empathize, which by the way is why I'm working so hard. I'm probably working as hard as anyone out there on the internet. Forget YouTube, on the internet, in addition to providing you concise, factual information and getting it to you in an efficient manner. And if you agree, let me know in the comments section below. And the way you can thank me is by clicking subscribe, by enabling notifications, and by clicking the like button. That is how you can help me if you want to appreciate the work that me and my team are doing. So Mnuchin's aid to these businesses, I'm talking specifically restaurants, lodging and entertainment venues, including airlines, for these businesses, including airlines which desperately need help. We're talking tens of thousands of jobs. Airlines are an important part of the economy, okay? Everything is important. There's not a single, everybody needs help, okay? Everybody needs help. So airlines, all this aid that Mnuchin proposed to restaurants, lodging and entertainment venues and airlines totals $120 billion. Democrats proposed $120 billion just for restaurants, as well as $10 billion for live entertainment and $28 billion for the restaurant industry. And Republicans are like 120 all in, going once, going twice. That's what the Republicans have proposed. So other highlights of Treasury Secretary Mnuchin's offer includes $60 billion for rental and mortgage assistance, $28 billion in student loan relief, $25 billion for childcare providers. As a parent, I understand that $20 billion for farmers and ranchers. I mean, our farmers and ranchers are very important, and appreciate all our farmers and ranchers. $15 billion for broadband connections for underserved communities. This will change the game for the future generation. Absolutely game changing. $13 billion to expand paid leave for workers with children and adult dependents, $5 billion for child welfare services, and $3 billion for the Department of Veteran Affairs. So there you have it, everybody. That is the totality of the $1.62 trillion bill that is proposed by US Treasury Secretary Mnuchin to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, which is now making the Democrats think. There are economic realities why this should happen. There are human realities why this should happen. There are medical necessities where the system needs the money, because we need to combat and beat the illness. And number 4, there are political realities. In case you haven't noticed, there is an election coming up. I mean, we had a very small and uneventful debate, as you know, the first presidential debate, and you can see my analysis of it on our channel. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time. I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. So definitely check out my video on our channel. I am here for you. I will always be here for you. I have a rags to riches story, and I want to help you live your American dream. This entire video, I don't know if you noticed it, this entire video was done in one take. I took a lot of pretty dense information, pretty consequential information, because this information is life-changing. I know my viewers and subscribers, for some of you, this is literally a matter of life and death. I am always here for you. I will always be here for you. We will get through this. And I do believe sincerely that somehow one day when we look back at this, we'll emerge stronger. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please subscribe. Please enable notifications. That is your vote of confidence in me and my team. I'll see you in the next video of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.